The stars stretched endlessly before the Terran research ship Solace, a lone vessel gliding through the silence of deep space. The hum of its engines echoed through the metal corridors like a faint heartbeat. It was a peaceful sound, one that comforted the crew after long months away from any planet or station. Commander Ryan stood near the observation deck, his eyes fixed on the darkness beyond the glass. The black void of space always felt both calm and haunting. To him it carried the ghosts of the old war. Even after so many years, he still remembered the smell of scorched hulls, the blinding light of plasma fire, and the voices of his comrades fading in radio static. The war between humans and the Valari Empire had ended 20 years ago. Billions had died on both sides. When it ended, there were no victors, only survivors. The peace treaty had left many unanswered questions. Some said the Valari vanished after the war, retreating to unknown parts of the galaxy. Others believed their queen had been destroyed in the final battle. No one knew for sure, and most humans preferred not to remember. But Ryan remembered. He had seen her once through the smoke of war, the alien queen, tall, radiant, her body made of what looked like living crystal. Her voice, calm and deep, carried through the coms before the battle began. It was said she had tried to end the fighting. Yet when her flagship disappeared in a final explosion, everything went silent now. Decades later, Ryan was no longer a soldier. He commanded a small research crew assigned to explore forgotten war zones. Their task was to locate debris, ancient technology, and signals left behind from both sides. It was routine work, but Ryan treated every mission with care. On this day, their scanners picked up something unusual. Commander said, Officer Lena, her eyes fixed on her console. I'm reading a faint signal ahead. Old frequency. Could be from the war era. Ryan walked over, scanning the data on her display. The signal was weak, nearly buried in background radiation. But it pulsed with a steady rhythm, one long tone, followed by two short ones. That pattern was familiar. It matched Valari distress codes used by their command ships. Can you pinpoint the source? Ryan asked. It's coming from a small moon in the Epsilon Fringe, Lena replied. Uncharted. Atmosphere thin, but survivable for short durations. Ryan considered the data. His orders were clear: avoid unnecessary risks. Yet something about that signal stirred his curiosity. It wasn't random static. It was deliberate. And if it was truly Valari, it could mean the discovery of a relic from the war. Maybe even a diplomatic artifact. Prepare a shuttle, Ryan said. We're going down. Lieutenant Mark, the pilot, turned in his chair with a doubtful look. Sir, the surface readings are unstable. Ion storms in the upper layer. We could lose comms. Ryan nodded. We'll take the risk. This might be important. The crew loaded the shuttle with standard survival gear, scanning drones, and light weapons for protection. Ryan, Lena, Mark, and engineer Tessa boarded the craft and launched from Solace. The stars turned into streaks as they entered the moon's atmosphere. Static filled their radios, and the shuttle shook under the pressure. When they broke through the clouds, the view below stunned them. The moon was covered in silver dust that shimmered under the weak light of a dying sun. Jagged rocks stretched across the surface like the bones of a giant creature. In the distance, a large, circular structure stood half buried in sand. It looked unnatural, smooth, metallic, and marked with strange geometric patterns. That's where the signal's coming from, Lena said. Mark guided the shuttle to a flat area near the structure and landed carefully. The hatch opened with a hiss, and cold air rushed in. The team stepped out, their boots sinking slightly into the soft dust. Every step echoed faintly in the silence. Tessa scanned the environment. Oxygen levels low, but safe enough for short exposure. Radiation minimal. This place has been untouched for a long time. They walked toward the circular structure. Up close, its size was enormous. The metal walls were carved with Valari symbols, flowing lines that glowed faintly as if responding to their presence. Ryan reached out and touched one of the marks. The glow brightened. It's active, he whispered. The symbols rearranged themselves, forming a spiral that opened in the center. A hidden doorway slid aside, releasing a burst of cold air and a low hum that resonated in their bones. Inside was a corridor filled with faint blue light. The team entered cautiously. The walls were smooth and reflected their movements like water. The deeper they went, the stronger the signal became. Ryan could feel his heart beating faster. After several turns, they reached a vast chamber. In its center stood a large pod made of transparent crystal. It pulsed with soft light, slow and rhythmic, almost like breathing. Wires of energy connected it to the walls, feeding it with power that seemed endless. Lena pointed at the scanner. "This is the source. Whatever's inside is still alive." Ryan stepped closer. Inside the pod was a figure tall, graceful, and faintly glowing. The shape was unmistakable. A Valerie? Her body was made of translucent, crystal-like material, faintly blue with veins of silver light. Her face was calm, eyes closed, as if she were only sleeping. A small crown-like structure formed naturally from her head, glowing with ancient energy. Ryan froze. His breath caught in his throat. He had seen this face before, not in person, but in old recordings. It was her, the Valari Queen. "Tessa, run a life scan," he said quickly. Tessa adjusted her scanner. "Readings are faint, but stable. She's in stasis. This pod is keeping her alive." Lena looked uneasy. "Sir, this could be dangerous. What if she wakes up? The war may be over, but we don't know what she'll do." Ryan understood her fear, yet something inside him refused to leave. He remembered the last moments of the Warther Queen's voice trying to stop the battle. She had spoken of peace before her ship vanished. Maybe she hadn't been an enemy at all. "We can't leave her here," Ryan said firmly. "If she's alive, she might know what really happened back then." Mark frowned. "You're suggesting we open the pod?" Ryan nodded. Carefully. The engineer hesitated but followed his order. She began to study the control panel at the base of the pod. The symbols were ancient but logical. She connected her translator and slowly entered a sequence. The hum of the chamber deepened. The pod's light flickered, then steadied into a bright white glow. "Power levels rising," Tessa warned. "Something's responding." The ground beneath them vibrated gently. The air grew warmer. A thin mist filled the room as the pod released pressure. With a final pulse of light, the crystal shell began to melt away, revealing the being inside. The Queen's chest rose slowly. Her eyes opened. They were bright blue with threads of gold that shimmered like sunlight through water. She looked around, calm and silent. Then her gaze fell on Ryan. The human stood frozen, unsure what to say. Every instinct told him to raise his weapon, but he couldn't move. Her presence wasn't hostile. It was ancient. Her lips parted slightly. Her voice came out soft, almost a whisper, but it filled the chamber. "Human," she said, her tone carrying both sadness and power. "Have you forgotten who I am?" Ryan's heart pounded in his chest. The sound of her voice seemed to echo not just in his ears, but in his mind. Memories he had buried long ago rose to the surface, images of her broadcast before the last battle. Pleading for peace, her words ignored by both sides, Lena stepped forward cautiously. "Commander, what is she saying?" Ryan did not answer. He could barely breathe. The Queen's gaze never left him. There was no anger in her eyes, only sorrow, as if she were looking at a child who had lost his way. Then the floor shook again, harder this time. The walls flashed with blue light. The ship's communication devices crackled. Tessa checked her instruments. "Something's activating," she said. "Power levels across the structure are rising fast."
Ow.
Ryan tore his eyes from the Queen and looked around. "What's happening?" The Queen raised a hand, and the lights stabilized instantly. She spoke again, her voice calm, but firm. "You have awakened the heart of my world. It remembers your kind. It remembers the war." Her words made Ryan's skin crawl. "The war is over," he said. "It ended decades ago." The Queen tilted her head slightly, her expression unreadable. "Time means little to those who sleep. The wounds remain." Before he could reply, a wave of static filled the air. The team's comms flickered, and the Solace's voice broke through for only a second. Commander, we're losing contact. Power surge from the surface. Signal, then silence. Lena looked at him with fear. We just lost the ship. Ryan turned back to the Queen. Her glowing eyes reflected the light of the chamber. She stood tall now, energy flowing through the walls as if the entire structure had awakened with her. He realized then that this was no simple ruin. This was her resting place, her sanctuary, perhaps even her throne. And now she was awake. For a long moment, no one spoke. The air inside the ancient chamber felt thick and alive. The glowing walls pulsed gently with the same rhythm as the alien queen's breath. Her presence filled the space with a strange kind of calm mixed with power that no human technology could explain. Commander Ryan stood frozen. His thoughts were a storm. The being before him was not a myth, not a legend, but real. The very queen whose name once made entire fleets tremble. The one who had been blamed for the war that burned half the galaxy. Yet, as he looked into her glowing eyes, he felt no hate. He saw something deeper: sorrow, memory, and a kind of patience that only an immortal could have. The queen spoke again. Her voice was soft, carrying through the chamber like a melody. You have awakened me, human. Tell me, why have you come? Ryan cleared his throat, trying to speak though his chest felt tight. We received a distress signal. We came to investigate. We didn't know this place belonged to you. The queen studied him for a moment. Then fate has brought you here. This place was hidden for a reason. I did not wish to be found. Lena raised her scanner and whispered, her body temperature, her energy field, everything about her is beyond what we've ever seen. This is not normal biology. The queen turned her gaze toward Lena. I hear your machines whispering. They seek to understand me, yet they cannot. My kind was not made as yours were. We were shaped by the stars themselves. Her words sent a chill through the group. Mark stepped back slightly, his hand on his weapon, though he did not raise it. Ryan stepped forward instead. The war between our people ended long ago. Most humans today know very little about you or your empire. They thought you were gone. The queen's eyes dimmed, and for a moment her glow faded. Gone. That is a word the living use for the forgotten. My empire fell not because of defeat, but because I chose silence. There was something greater than our conflict, something that fed on it. I tried to stop it, but I failed. Tessa frowned. Something greater? What do you mean? The queen looked at her, but seemed to stare beyond the present moment, as if watching scenes no one else could see. Machines, she said quietly, engines of war that neither you nor my people created. They were ancient before your first ships left your home world. They awoke when we began to fight, feeding on energy, on hatred, on the chaos of destruction. They wanted the galaxy to burn forever. Ryan's eyes widened. You mean the war wasn't just between us? There was something else controlling it. Yes, the queen said. The war was guided. Every time we tried to end it, the machines appeared. When I realized their plan, I sealed myself away, hoping my silence would starve them of conflict. Lena shook her head slowly. You put yourself in stasis to save both sides. The queen gave a faint nod. Yes, but it seems the galaxy still remembers my name as a curse. Her calm words made Ryan's heart ache. He had lost friends and family in that war. For years he had hated the Volari, but standing before their queen now could feel only shame. He looked at her carefully. If what you say is true, the machines might still exist. They do, she said softly. And by awakening me, you have called them again. They can sense my return. Even now, they are moving. Mark's face turned pale. You mean we just brought danger to us? The queen turned toward the far wall. The glowing lines shifted into patterns like constellations. They are far, but not far enough. If you wish to survive, we must prepare. Ryan's mind raced. His ship, Solus, had lost contact. If these machines were real and approaching, they had to warn the fleet. But the communications were dead. They needed power. Tessa, Ryan said, Can you restore contact with the ship? I can try, she answered, already setting up her toolkit. but something is blocking every outgoing signal. The whole structure is interfering. The Queen raised her hand, and a wave of energy rippled through the air. The walls brightened. Your ship cannot hear you because this place was built to hide me. Its heart shields against detection. I will lower it for a short time. Ryan nodded in thanks. If we can reach the ship, we can call for help. She watched him with a calm expression. You will find that no help can reach this place fast enough. The machines travel through folds of space. They will arrive soon. You must decide whether you will run or stand. Her words hung heavy in the air. Ryan's instincts as a soldier returned. He turned to his team. We'll do both. Tessa, try to open comms. Mark, prep the shuttle for launch. Lena, keep scanning for energy sources or threats. I'll stay here with the Queen. The crew moved quickly. The Queen remained still, watching him. You carry the mark of a soldier, she said quietly. But you no longer fight. I've fought enough, Ryan replied. I thought the war ended. I wanted peace. Peace is not the absence of war, she said. It is the courage to protect life even when you are afraid. Her words struck him harder than he expected. He looked around the chamber again. Why was this place built? It looks older than anything human or Valari. This temple, she said, was not built by my kind. It was left by those who came before. They were the first to face the machines. They fell long before your kind learned to see the stars. They left this place for me to guard their memory. Ryan tried to understand. You were guarding the secret of these machines. Yes, and now it has awakened once more. Tess's voice came through the comm. Commander, I'm getting partial signal restoration. The ship can hear us faintly, but interference is strong. Keep trying, Ryan said. Then the ground shook slightly, a deep tremor that made the dust fall from the ceiling. The Queen turned her head sharply. Her eyes glowed brighter. They have found us, she said. Everyone froze. Mark's voice came through the comm. Commander, I'm picking up massive energy signatures approaching from orbit. Not ships, but something else. Mechanical formations moving fast? Ryan looked at the Queen. Those are the machines? Yes, she said calmly. They come to erase what remembers peace. Lena's scanner beeped wildly. I'm detecting multiple incoming contacts in the upper atmosphere. We don't have enough power to take off. Ryan clenched his fists. Then we hold here. If they want to fight, we give them one. The Queen tilted her head slightly, her glowing eyes softening. You humans never change. Even when the stars fall, you still choose to stand. A faint smile touched Ryan's face. We don't know how to do anything else. The Queen stepped toward the center of the room. The light from the walls followed her. With each step, the glow grew brighter until the entire chamber shone like a sun beneath the surface. The air felt warm and heavy with energy. Ryan shielded his eyes as she raised both hands. The patterns on her body pulsed like veins of lightning. The structure responded, vibrating with a deep, melodic hum. What are you doing? He shouted over the noise. Calling the heart of this world, she answered. It will protect us, as long as it can. The ground split open slightly, revealing pillars of light that reached toward the ceiling. The walls shifted, forming barriers of crystal and metal. The ancient temple was changing shape, turning into a fortress. Tessa stared in awe. She's merging with the system. She's controlling everything. The Queen's voice filled the air again. Your weapons will not harm them, but they may distract them. Stand near the entrance. Do not let them reach the core. Ryan and his team moved toward the doorway, setting up their defense positions. The hum outside grew louder. Through the cracks of the opening, Ryan could see shapes descending from the sky-dark metal constructs with glowing red eyes, floating smoothly through the air like predators. He gripped his rifle tightly. Everyone hold your ground. The machines landed with a thunderous sound. Their bodies were shaped like long-armored insects, their limbs sharp and glowing with heat. One of them opened its chest, revealing a core of swirling red energy. It sent out a shockwave that made the air tremble. Ryan fired first. The bullet hit one of the machines but barely dented it. Sparks flew, and the creature turned toward him with eerie precision. It moved with mechanical grace, faster than any organic being. Mark joined in, firing his plasma rifle. Lena deployed a drone that fired small energy bursts to distract the machines. The noise echoed across the metallic walls. Behind them, the Queen's light grew stronger. She extended her arms, and waves of blue energy rippled outward. The machines staggered under the force. Her voice rang through the chamber like thunder. "You cannot silence life," she said. The machines charged again, slashing through stone and metal. One leaped toward Ryan, but a burst of blue light from the Queen struck it midair, tearing it apart. Ryan turned to look at her. She stood tall, radiant like a star. Her eyes blazed with determination. For the first time, Ryan saw something in her that he understood completely. She was not just a ruler. She was a protector. As the battle raged, the ground quaked again. Tessa shouted, "Commander, readings are spiking. More machines are incoming. We can't hold them all." Ryan looked at the Queen. "Is there any way to stop them?" "There is one," she said, her voice calm despite the chaos. "But it will require the power of both our kinds. I need your ship's core energy to merge with mine. Only then can we end this wave." "But the ship's far in orbit," Ryan said. Her eyes glowed brighter. "Not for long. I will bring it to us." She lifted her hand toward the ceiling. A beam of light shot into the sky, piercing the clouds above. For a second, Ryan saw the stars, and among them the faint outline of... The storm above the moon roared as the Queen's beam of light reached through the clouds. The sky split open with color, and for a moment, every metallic machine stopped moving. The energy pulsing from the ancient temple spread across the land like waves on water, Commander. Ryan shielded his eyes from the brightness. He could see his ship Solace being drawn closer to the moon's surface. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. The Queen's power seemed limitless. He wondered how one being could command such strength. Inside the chamber, the Queen's glow began to dim slightly. She turned to Ryan with calm eyes. "The link is forming. Your ship's energy will soon reach this place." Ryan nodded, trying to keep his mind clear. "If we can merge the energy, what happens then?" The Queen looked up at the ceiling, as if listening to something far away. "If the bond works, it will create a surge strong enough to drive the machines away. But it must be done carefully. Too much power could destroy this moon and everything on it." Tessa's voice came through the cum. "Commander, I'm detecting strange gravitational pull. It's dragging the Solace down. We'll need to stabilize before we crash." "Use the ship's auxiliary thrusters," Ryan replied. "Keep it steady. We need the reactor intact." The Queen closed her eyes and extended her hand. A ripple of blue light flowed outward, connecting with the distant ship. She could feel its power like a heartbeat far above. Slowly, the two sources of energy began to align. Meanwhile, the machines outside regrouped. Their mechanical limbs dug deep into the ground as they prepared another attack. Their leader, a towering construct made of dark metal and burning red cores, stepped forward. Its voice came as a chorus of mechanical tones. "Organic life violates the balance. Conflict is order. Peace is decay." Ryan heard the sound and tightened his grip on his weapon. "They can speak," he whispered. The Queen's voice answered firmly. "They do not speak. They repeat. They are echoes of a dead age that only remembers war." Mark called from the doorway. "More are coming from the North Ridge?" "Dozens of them." Ryan took position beside him. "We hold the line until the ship's power links with the Queen." The air vibrated as the first wave of machines charged forward. The team fired, their rifles glowing with blue and white bursts. Each impact sent sparks flying, but the machines were relentless. They advanced in perfect formation, unshaken by the storm of plasma. Behind them, the Queen raised both hands. The walls of the temple glowed once more. A deep hum filled the chamber. The floor cracked open, and streams of light flowed like rivers, forming symbols on the ground. "Ancient ones," she said softly. "Lend your strength once more." The light expanded outward, forming a barrier that shimmered like glass. When the machines struck it, their weapons flared uselessly. The Queen's power was holding them back, but Ryan could see strain on her face. Lena noticed it too. She's losing energy. The barrier won't last long. Ryan looked up. Through the glowing cracks in the ceiling, he could see the solace entering the upper atmosphere. It was descending slowly, surrounded by waves of light from the Queen's connection. Almost there, he said. Just hold a little longer. The machines changed tactics. Several of them extended their limbs into the ground, releasing streams of red light that began to pierce through the Queen's shield. The light hissed as it touched the blue energy. Burning holes in the barrier, Tessa shouted, "They're disrupting the energy field. If they reach the core, it's over." Ryan turned to the Queen. "Tell me how I can help." She opened her eyes and looked at him. "You must go to the center of the chamber. There is a control crystal. It links my power with your ship. When the signal comes through, place your hand on it. Your human life force will guide the merge." Ryan hesitated. "Will it harm me?" Her eyes softened. "It will test you, but it will not destroy you. The machines must not take this world again." Ryan nodded. "Understood." He ran toward the center, where a tall pillar of crystal rose from the floor. It glowed faintly, pulsing with both blue and white energy. He could feel the hum of his ship's reactor vibrating through it. Outside, thunder cracked across the sky. The Solace descended through clouds of lightning, its hull glowing red from heat. The ship's engines roared as it fought the gravity pulling it down, Commander. Tessa shouted, "We're aligning reactor output to her frequency. We can channel it in 30 seconds. "Do it," Ryan replied. The Queen raised her hands again. Her voice carried through the temple like an echo of wind and light. "They come because they remember fear. But I remember hope." A blast of energy surged from her body, throwing several machines back. They shattered against the rocks, their metal bodies breaking apart. Still, more came. The air was filled with the sound of metal striking stone, of weapons burning through air, and of human hearts beating faster than ever before. Mark shouted over the noise. "We can't hold them forever." Ryan pressed his hand against the crystal pillar. It was warm, almost alive. The energy burned through his skin, but he did not move away. Images flashed in his mind, planets burning, ships exploding, the cries of soldiers from both sides. Then, among the chaos, he saw her. The Queen standing before a field of light, reaching out her hand, pleading for peace. The connection deepened. His breath grew shallow as the energy flowed through him. It was as if the crystal was reading his thoughts, searching his memories, trying to understand humanity itself. Then he heard her voice not through his ears, but directly in his mind. "You remember me now?" Ryan's heart raced. "I remember the broadcast. You tried to stop the last battle? You tried to warn us." "I did," her voice replied. "But your leaders did not listen, and my own people turned against me. They thought surrender was weakness. They could not see that unity was the only way." The light around him grew stronger. Ryan could feel his strength fading, but he refused to let go. "What do you need me to do?" "Hold the bond," she said. "Together, we will awaken the heart." Outside, the machines roared. The largest of them charged its weapon, firing a beam of red light straight toward the temple. The beam struck the barrier, cracking it wide open. The ground shook, and several fragments of stone fell from the ceiling. Lena shouted, "Barrier breach!" "They're inside." Ryan turned his head. The machines poured into the temple, their glowing eyes reflecting the Queen's light. The team fired again, covering the entrance as best as they could. Mark threw a pulse grenade that exploded with white light, scattering the front line of attackers. The Queen raised her right hand, and blue fire surrounded her fingers. She moved gracefully, striking with precise gestures that sent waves of energy through the machines. One by one, they fell. But each time one fell, another appeared. Then the Queen suddenly gasped. A crack formed along her arm, glowing with white fire. Ryan could see that the merge was draining her faster than before. "You're hurt," he said. She shook her head. "Do not stop. The heart is almost awake." The floor beneath the crystal pillar began to open, revealing a massive core buried deep under the ground. It glowed like a sun trapped beneath the surface. The power from both the queen and the ship merged there, creating a storm of color that filled the chamber. Ryan felt as though his body was being pulled apart by energy. Every nerve burned, yet he stayed still. He thought of Earth, of the faces of his crew, of the stars that humans had fought so hard to reach. Then the queen's voice came again, gentle but filled with strength. "Human, remember who you are." Her words gave him focus. He steadied his breathing and poured every ounce of willpower into the bond. The energy surged higher, lighting the chamber brighter than day. Outside, the machines paused. Their red eyes flickered uncertainly. The air shimmered as if reality itself was bending. Then came a sound like thunder breaking the sky. The energy exploded outward in a wave of pure white light. It swept across the surface of the moon, engulfing everything in its path. The machines disintegrated instantly, their metal bodies turning to dust that floated harmlessly away. The red light of their cores faded into nothing. When the light faded, silence returned. The sky above cleared, revealing the stars again. Ryan fell to his knees, his hands still on the crystal. The pillar was now calm and faintly glowing. The queen stood nearby, her body trembling. Lena rushed to Ryan's side. "Commander, are you all right?" He nodded weakly. "Still here," helped him stand. They both turned toward the queen. Her glow was dimmer now, but her eyes were still bright. "The machines are gone," she said softly. "For now?" Ryan looked around at the temple. "You saved us." She shook her head. "We saved each other. My strength alone could not have awakened the heart. It needed a soul that remembers compassion. That is what humans bring to the stars." Her words filled the room with quiet power. Mark walked in, holding his rifle low. "The area is clear. I think we really did it." Tessa looked up at the sky, through the cracks in the ceiling. "The ship's orbit is stabilizing. Systems are returning to normal." Ryan faced the queen once more. "What happens now?" The queen looked at the distant stars. "This was only one nest of machines. There are others across the galaxy. They will wake in time. But now, there is a chance for peace, if your kind and mine remember what was learned here." Ryan nodded slowly. "Then we start by remembering." Queen stepped closer to him. Her hand, glowing faintly, rested over his heart. "You have not forgotten who you are, human. That is why hope still lives." The silence after the battle was deep and heavy. The air inside the ancient temple still glowed faintly blue, the light coming from the heart that had awakened beneath the ground. The queen stood near the center, her silver hair flowing gently, as if moved by unseen wind. Her expression was calm, but her eyes showed sadness mixed with hope. Commander Ryan took a deep breath and looked around. The team was gathering equipment, checking injuries, and repairing their weapons. The floor was covered with fragments of broken machines, their metal bodies now lifeless and cold. Tessa spoke first. "All systems on Solace are back online. The reactor is stable, orbit fixed. We can fly again." Ryan nodded. "Good. Keep the engines on standby. We might need to leave fast if the energy field drops." The queen turned her gaze toward him. "The heart will hold for a time. The light we released has restored balance here. But balance is fragile. The machines we destroyed were only soldiers. The true mind that controls them sleeps somewhere far away." Mark frowned. "You mean there's a leader? Some kind of main control?" "Yes," she said. "A mind without a body. A network born from war, built to fight without end. When my people fell, it took control of what remained and erased every voice that asked for peace." Ryan looked toward the glowing floor. "Then it will come for us again." The queen nodded slowly. "It will. But now we have something it does not. We have unity between two species that once tried to destroy each other." Lena stepped closer. "If that mind wakes, what can we do to stop it?" The queen placed her hand on the crystal pillar. "There may be a way. The heart you helped awaken is part of an ancient network. It connects worlds that were once part of my empire. If we can reach the central node, we can use it to send a signal strong enough to disable the machine mind. Ryan understood the weight of her words. You're talking about traveling across the stars. Yes, the Queen said. To the world where my kind was born. To the place where the war began. The team exchanged glances. The idea of traveling into the unknown again, after such a battle, made their hearts race. But Ryan could see determination in their eyes. He turned to the Queen. We'll help you reach it. Humanity started this war long ago by refusing to listen. Maybe it's time we finally finish it the right way. Queen gave a small smile. Then let us begin. The journey back to Solace was quiet. The moon's surface had become peaceful again. The black sky was full of stars, and the white glow of the Queen's energy left trails behind them as they walked. When they reached the landing site, the ship stood proud, its hull scorched, but still strong. Tessa opened the ramp, and the crew entered one by one. The Queen followed last, her feet touching the metal floor gently. Mark whispered. Never thought I'd see an alien queen walking inside a human ship. Lena smiled faintly. She saved all of us. She belongs here now. Ryan stood near the bridge. Set course for deep space. We'll follow her guidance. The Queen touched a panel on the console. A map of stars appeared, thousands of glowing points spread across the dark. She raised her hand. And one bright blue star pulsed at the edge of the chart. That is where the central node rests, she said. The planet was once called Ilindra. It was the capital of my people before the war. Ryan studied the map. That's far beyond the known frontier. It'll take weeks, maybe months, even with the jump drive. The Queen looked at him. Time matters little if the heart of the machines awakens. The signal you released will not go unnoticed. We must reach Ilindra before they do. Tessa began the jump sequence. Coordinates locked. Ready when you are, Commander. Ryan looked at his crew. Let's make history again. The engines roared, and the stars stretched into lines of light as the Solace leaped into the void. Days passed inside the ship. The crew worked in shifts, maintaining the systems, repairing damaged sections, and studying data from the Queen's energy field. The Queen spent most of her time in the observation deck, gazing at the stars in silence. One evening, Ryan joined her. The two stood side by side, watching the endless expanse outside. Do you ever get tired of it? He asked softly. The stars, the silence, the waiting. She smiled faintly. No, the stars remind me of what we lost. Every one of them is a memory. Some shine bright because they survived the darkness. Others fade because war burned them away. Ryan looked at her with quiet respect. You still care about your people, even after everything. I do, she said. Even the ones who turned against me. They were afraid. Fear makes even the wise forget who they are. He nodded slowly. Humans know that feeling too. She turned to him. That is why your kind gives me hope. You fall, but you rise again. You fight, but you also forgive. When I first met a human voice across the stars, I did not think you would listen. But you did, Ryan smiled. Maybe we're learning. For a while they stood without words, only the hum of the engines filling the silence. Then a warning light blinked on the console nearby. Ryan frowned and walked to the panel. Sensor alert. Something's out there. He activated the screen, showing a large metallic shape drifting ahead of them. It looked like a broken station, its surface covered in scars. Tessa's voice came through the cum. Commander, we're detecting faint energy readings from that wreck. It's not human design. The Queen stepped closer. Her expression changed. That is one of ours. A relay beacon from the old network. If it still functions, we can use it to locate Ilindra faster. Ryan gave the order. Bring us closer. Keep shields active. As the Solace approached, the damaged beacon came into view. Massive metal rings floated around a shattered core. Strange symbols glowed faintly across its surface. Mark and Lena prepared to go outside. The Queen insisted on joining them. Together, they stepped into the void, their suits connected by a tether. The stars surrounded them in silence. When they reached the beacon, the Queen touched its surface gently. A pulse of blue light spread across it. Slowly, the old machine came alive again. Ryan's voice came through the radio. It's responding. Power readings are rising. The Queen spoke softly. It remembers me. Suddenly, the beacon's lights changed from blue to red. Warning alarms blared through the ship. Tessa shouted, "Commander, the beacon is transmitting a signal. Unknown code," repeating in loops. "It's calling something." Ryan's heart sank. "Get them back now." The Queen looked around. It is too late. The machine mind has heard us. From the darkness beyond the beacon, several metallic shapes appeared. Their eyes glowed red, and their weapons began to charge. Mark shouted, "They're drones. At least 10 of them." Ryan gave the order instantly. "Open fire." The Solace's cannons lit up the black space, firing streams of white plasma. Explosions burst like stars, but more drones kept coming. The Queen raised her hands, summoning a field of blue light around herself and the 2 humans. "Return to your ship," she said firmly. They pushed off the beacon and floated back using their thrusters. The Queen followed, still maintaining the shield as enemy fire streaked around them. Ryan shouted, "Open the bay door!" "Prepare for evasive maneuvers." The crew moved fast. As soon as the Queen and the others entered, the ramp closed and the Solace turned sharply. Engines flaring bright. Missiles followed, exploding near the hull. The ship shook violently, alarms ringing through every corridor. Tessa yelled, "Shields at 60%. We can't take much more." Ryan looked at the Queen. "Can you disable them?" She closed her eyes, focusing. Blue symbols appeared in the air around her as she whispered in an ancient language. The light spread from her palms, forming a wave that traveled through space. One by one, the drones stopped moving. Their red eyes dimmed, and their bodies drifted lifeless. The ship grew quiet again. Ryan let out a deep breath. "You did it." The Queen opened her eyes slowly. "They will send more. The machine mind now knows the Queen lives." Mark spoke grimly. "Then we'd better move fast." Tessa locked a new course. "We have partial data from the beacon before it changed. It points straight to Alindra." Ryan nodded. "Then that's where we go." The next few days were tense. Every shadow outside the ship felt like a threat. The Queen spent her time in meditation, gathering strength, while the crew prepared for another possible attack. Finally, after long hours of travel, the stars ahead shifted. A massive planet came into view. It was covered in silver clouds and blue oceans. Floating above it were rings of ancient cities, broken and silent. The Queen stood on the bridge. Her eyes widened. "Alindra." "My home," Lena whispered. "It's beautiful." The Queen's voice was soft. "It was once before the fire." Ryan focused on the readings. "There's still energy coming from the surface. Something powerful." She nodded. "The central node. The heart of the machine mind lies there." Tessa asked, "If we reach it, what do we do?" The Queen turned toward her. "We give it a choice. To end the war forever, or to fall into silence." Ryan looked around at his crew. "Then let's finish what we started." The Solace began its descent toward the planet's surface, cutting through the silver clouds. Lightning danced around the hull, but the ship held steady as they neared the ground. Vast ruins came into view, towers made of white crystal, half buried under oceans of sand. The light of the ancient world still flickered faintly among the ruins. As if the planet itself remembered what it had once been, the Queen stepped forward. Her voice was quiet but strong. "We have come home. And now we will face the one who never stopped fighting." The ruins of Alindra stretched across the horizon, white towers half buried in silver sand. Wind whispered through shattered spires and broken streets. The glow of ancient energy pulsed faintly from deep beneath the surface. The heart of the machine mind lay below, waiting Commander Ryan, the Queen. And the crew of Solace stepped carefully through the ruins. The Queen's light illuminated the path, revealing the cracks in the stone and the hidden glyphs etched into the walls. The glyphs hummed faintly under her touch, as if recognizing her presence. "This place has been silent for centuries," the Queen said softly. "But it remembers. It remembers my people, and it remembers the machines." Ryan glanced at her. You mean it can still feel them? The Queen nodded. The planet is alive in its own way. It senses conflict. The machines are part of it, and yet they are separate. The heart controls them. It decides what will live and what will die, Tessa spoke up. Then if we reach the heart, we can end them. Yes, the Queen said, but the heart will test us. It will see every intention, every thought, every fear. It will not act unless it believes we are worthy. Right? Ryan tightened his grip on his rifle. Then we show it who we are. They reached a massive door carved into the base of one of the tallest towers. Symbols glowed faintly, reacting to the Queen's energy. She reached out and touched the surface. The glyphs pulsed brightly, then the door opened with a low hum. A shaft of blue light stretched downward. This way, the Queen said. Leading the team, the chamber below was enormous, larger than anything they had imagined. The walls were lined with machinery and crystal, forming a network that reached far beneath the planet's surface. In the center lay the heart, a massive crystal sphere, pulsating with red and blue energy. Its light reflected in the eyes of the crew, showing both awe and fear. Ryan stepped forward carefully. That's it. That's the core. The Queen raised her hand. It knows we are here. It feels our presence. Approach carefully. As they neared, the sphere pulsed faster. Red veins of energy shot out, forming shapes in the air, mechanical creatures, half-formed, like guards of the heart. Their eyes glowed red. They moved toward the team with silent precision. Mark fired first. White plasma bolts struck the creatures, dispersing some into sparks of light. But more kept coming, seemingly endless. The Queen's voice rang through the chamber. Hold them back. Do not strike at the heart. It must see your courage, not your weapons. Ryan and his team formed a circle around the sphere, fighting off the mechanical forms with precision and discipline. The Queen moved with them, her energy striking the attackers, shattering them without harming the chamber. Hours passed. Every time a machine fell, another took its place. The energy from the heart pulsed in response, testing them, challenging them. Ryan felt exhaustion creeping into his limbs, but he refused to give in. Finally, a moment came when the attackers paused. The heart pulsed brighter than before. A deep voice, not mechanical, but resonant and ancient, filled the chamber. Who enters the heart of Alindra? What beings come seeking the end of the eternal war? Ryan stepped forward. I am Commander Ryan of humanity. We come not to destroy, but to end the conflict. We come with the Valerie Queen to bring balance and peace. The voice paused. Peace. The word has been forgotten. The voice of compassion has been silenced. How can I believe you? The Queen stepped closer to the sphere. You know me. I am the Queen who sought peace for both our peoples. I return now with allies who have learned that life is worth protecting. The heart pulsed violently. The chamber shook. Machines erupted from the walls, charging at the team in a final wave. Ryan fired his weapon, hitting every moving target. The Queen raised her hands, casting waves of energy that sent the machines flying into the walls. Then the heart stopped pulsing. The red glow faded into soft blue. A calm silence filled the chamber. The voice spoke again, softer this time. I see your courage. I see your will. But I sense fear, doubt, and hesitation. Will you relinquish all hatred, all revenge, to protect life? Ryan glanced at the Queen. She nodded. We will. We must. Not for ourselves, but for all who will live after us. He turned to the heart. We do. We choose life over fear. We choose unity over destruction. We will protect the galaxy together. The crystal sphere glowed brighter. Blue veins of energy spread outward, sweeping through the chamber, disarming the remaining machines. Sparks and fragments fell harmlessly to the floor. The heart's light expanded, filling the entire chamber with warmth and calm. The Queen's eyes glowed. It believes us. The war is over. Not because of force, but because of choice. Ryan felt a wave of relief wash over him. The tension, fear, and pain of countless battles seemed to lift from his shoulders. Humanity had stood beside the Queen, not as conquerors or victims, but as allies. The heart pulsed once more, sending waves of energy across the planet. Machines still active across Alindra froze and powered down. The voice spoke one last time. Balance restored. Peace shall endure if these beings continue to remember their choice. The chamber grew silent. Only the glow of the heart remained. The Queen placed her hand on it, closing her eyes. "It is done," she whispered. Ryan stepped closer. "You did it. All of this. We stopped the machines." She opened her eyes and looked at him. "No, Commander. You did it. Humanity showed the heart that life is worth protecting. My energy helped guide it, but it was your courage, your choice, that ended the cycle." Tessa smiled. "We fought together. That's what matters." The Queen nodded. "Yes. Together, we can ensure peace, even if others forget." The journey back to Solace was filled with quiet reflection. The crew repaired systems and reviewed data from Alindra. Ryan walked to the observation deck with the Queen. "Will it last?" he asked. "The peace, the machines may return someday." She shook her head slowly. "The machines exist as long as fear and hatred exist. But now we have created a memory of hope. It will guide others. You humans have the strength to carry it forward." Ryan nodded. "We will." "We'll make sure humanity remembers this lesson." The Queen smiled faintly. "And that is why hope endures. You have faced darkness and chosen light. That is the true mark of your kind." They stood in silence, watching the stars. The void seemed softer, almost welcoming. For the first time in a long while, Ryan felt peace, not only in the galaxy, but within himself. Weeks later, Solace returned to human-controlled space. The crew relayed reports of Alindra and the destruction of the machines to the authorities. Communications across colonies were filled with hope instead of fear. Humanity had a story to tell, one of courage, unity, and the choice to protect life. Ryan and his crew were celebrated not as heroes of war, but as ambassadors of peace. Yet Ryan never forgot the lesson he had learned. Strength alone does not create safety. Compassion, understanding, courage together could shape the future. The Queen stayed aboard Solace, traveling alongside humanity to guide them. She was no longer a figure of fear, but a symbol of collaboration between two species once torn apart by war. One evening, Ryan joined her on the observation deck. They watched the stars streak past as the ship jumped into hyperspace. "You think they'll remember?" he asked softly. "They will," she replied. "If we remind them. If we continue to choose life over fear, hope will never die." Ryan smiled. "Then we'll keep reminding them. Every star we reach, every world we touch, we'll show them the choice we made." The Queen's eyes glowed faintly in agreement. "Together, we will ensure the future is brighter than the past." And as Solace sailed across the galaxy, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter. The war that had once divided races, destroyed worlds, and filled hearts with fear had ended not with violence but with courage, unity, and understanding. Humanity had risen not as conquerors, but as protectors. The Queen's voice echoed softly in Ryan's mind. "Remember who you are. Remember what you chose. That is the power that will guide all who come after you." Ryan closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of history and the light of hope. Humanity had survived, and now it would thrive. The galaxy was alive with possibility. And the story of Alindra, of the Queen, and of humanity would be remembered for generations to come. The end of war was not the end of the story. It was only the beginning.